Seth Kirkman, this mission is going to do a video talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Hey, thanks for clicking this morning only after school podcast. I'm Jesse Johns.
Seth Kirkman.
In today's episode, as you might have heard from the other intro, that yes, we are going to be talking about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Trent Kelsey was unavailable to join us tonight, so it's just us two. But yeah, shame on you, Trent.
Yeah, it's shame.
Shame. Shame on you, Trent. Uh, well, today, we just want Seth, you seen the movie once, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you watch it the opening weekend or the weekend after?
I think it was like opening week or been like 1 week or something. It was pretty soon after it came out.
Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, I actually seen the movie. That opening, not that opening weekend. It was actually a weekday evening because that was the only availability I had to go see it. So,
Mhm.
uh, I think this movie, this part one, because I expected it. You expect to go into the yes, it's gonna be full stunts. Yes, it's gonna be lots of action.
And running.
And running. Yeah, a lot of running in
Every
this movie
single
too.
Tom Cruise movie has to have like at least a 5 minute mandatory running sequence.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's what Mission Impossible is, man. I mean, you got Tom Cruise running,
You wouldn't go into it expecting anything less. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh man. I mean, especially the motorcycle stunt that we got in this movie too.
see, I know they advertised everything on the motorcycle stunt. Like every single trailer ends with the motorcycle stunt. It was cool, but like honestly, in my own personal opinion, that's kind of one of the lamer ones he's done compared to like some of the other stuff, like climbing the helicopter rope or hanging off the airplane. It's like all he did was wingsuit dive down a mountain. I mean, like plenty of other people have done that too. Still impressive, but I don't think it was quite as awesome as some of his other stunts have been.
Well,
Even some of the other stunts in the movie I thought were better than that one. I don't know why they focused all their like advertising attention on him falling off the mountain.
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, they actually built a ramp, like on like there's videos and stuff about it, but they actually built a ramp because they couldn't drove on the cliff because I think the cliff is too bumpy. I guess you can say because it's too rough, and they need like a soft pad to where the motorcycle can just go up like that. So, what's insane about it is that that's actually not a really safe stunt. I mean, most of the Tom Cruise's stunt is literally death-defying stunts.
You said it was a safe stunt or was not a safe stunt?
Was not. It was not a safe
Well,
stunt.
I mean, compared to some of his other stuff, it wasn't really that dangerous because, like I said, it looks cool. But as far as danger wise, he's got a parachute. He's got plenty of space to wingsuit off that mountain. So
Yeah,
I would say, like danger wise, that's not nearly as bad as some of the other stuff he's done.
right. You got like trying to remember what else he done.
But do you remember like him jumping between buildings in Fallout? He
Yep.
breaks his ankle, and they use that
Yeah.
take in the film.
Oh. I mean, he said he even said in the interview when that happened, he's like it was the easy part when I'm jumping one building to the next, and then because he said that the mistake him hitting the side of the building and then pulling himself over. He said that was not a mistake. The mistake was when he put his foot on the building and snapped it. That was the mistake part because he was trying to like soften the impact or something like that way he didn't hit hard and he knew instantly it was just broken. That's the way he pulled it.
I
So
think he purposefully broke his leg, and then climbing up. The rest of that was just a happy accident. But it is what it is.
uh, I mean
Or you
I
see
mean
like the crazy Tom Cruise laughing. Like I can imagine he snaps his leg and he's just like hysterically laughing as he pulls himself up, and he's like, "That was awesome."
oh man I mean especially he did the stunt in Rogue Nation when he's hanging on the side of the airplane.
I know he was attached to wires and stuff, but yeah, that was extremely impressive.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not sure which one's. I mean, I think Fallout's still my favorite, which was I know was will rank our Mission Impossible movies in a little bit, but it's just that I think Fallout for me will still be at top for right now. So,
Yeah, I agree.
uh, so yeah, I mean, so you expect to go into it. It's gonna be full of stunts, it's Tom Cruise, the run and stuff. So,
Well, let me ask you this: did this movie meet your expectations?
did this movie meet my expectations? This was my most anticipated movie of 2023. Because I love the Mission Impossible movies.
Right.
Uh, but my biggest problem with these part ones, and it's not just Mission Impossible, is like if you really think about it, Mockingjay Part One, Deathly Hollows Part One,
Avengers.
yeah, Defenders, yeah, they're
Yeah.
more like I want to say you can say filler, you know what I mean? So you expect it kind
Well,
of,
it's all there just to set up the next one.
hmm yeah. So I do think this movie at least tried to make it a good movie, but I do think there was a couple minor things that I think it could have been done a little bit better. If that makes sense.
I'll see the way I saw it. I was expecting it was a good movie. I think it was a very good movie.
Mm.
But I was going into it expecting it to be like awesome. Like the last one, Fallout, was just it's like one of the best action movies ever made. So I guess
Oh
I
yeah.
went into this with like almost unrealistic expectations of how good it should be.
Hmm.
Because don't get me wrong, it was a very good movie. If you compare it to most anything else that comes out, it'll be far and above better. But
Yeah.
there was just a little part of me that was like, that wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And just a lot of little stuff. And I'm sure we'll get into that a bit, but that was my
Well,
thoughts on it.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't really intense, because the trailer from Dead Reckoning was really intense, because you got, because this mission, it's more about because it's about for many of you who don't know the story. Of course, they got this little Elsa, right? She's in the desert, and they had a bounty on her or something like that, right? And apparently, Ethan Hunt was his mission to go, kill. Or was it kill her or capture her or something like
I
that?
think it was because she had the key, and they said, like,
Hmm.
get the key from her.
Yeah, to get the key, but he got the key, but they're trying to fake her death, right? Uh,
I can't remember if they wanted him to kill her or if that was up to him. I think he just faked her death, so, like, people wouldn't really be after her at that point.
yeah, because I remember in the movie he was like, "You're dead. You stay dead." You know what I mean? Just the way he
Yeah.
said it. But I think the
Are we
thing
doing a
it
spoiler? Are we doing a spoiler version of this video? Or are we trying to do this spoiler free?
it
I
I
say
mean
honestly, by this point, if you haven't seen it,
yeah,
I'm going to spoil it here. I found it surprising that they killed off Elsa,
yeah.
which I'm not really sure if I was a fan of that. The Haley Atwell character was fine. I'm sure she'll be a good character, but they spent like 2 or 3 movies now building up Elsa, and like I
Hmm.
actually really liked her as a character. And then, I mean, I guess it's what they're trying to do is make you actually care that they killed this person off. And I'm like, gosh dang it! Like you could have done so many more interesting things with this one character, and then you kind of just ruined it right there.
Well, that's kind of what shocked me because of course Haley Atwell is playing it. She plays race in this movie because her character, she's a thief, you know, and she's a thief, and of course she don't trust IMF because which is played by Ethan Hunt, Benji and Luther, because they're actually after another key. There's two keys, right, or three?
There's like 2 parts of the key.
Two parts of the key. Okay, because and then somehow she got the other key, and then I remember it was a ridiculous scene where where Ethan Hunt is actually just chasing after her, and of course she's kept running, and eventually he's a because there's a I think CIA was after. Ethan Hunt and his team.
He goes rogue in like every single movie. They're always after him.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's nothing new, you know. It's just what kind of gets me about Grace is that she keeps running away, and then of course they're still coming after her, you know. So
Well, that was the other thing that make a whole lot of sense. Is like, why does he care so much about this person? Like
hmm
when they were in the nightclub or the hotel or whatever it was, and he's like, you're gonna choose between the two women. One's gonna live, one's gonna die. Like
yeah,
he's known Elsa for like a decade practically. And this
yeah,
other chick he just met. Not only did he just meet her, she stole from him, left him for dead several times. Like, why does he care so much about this? He's a hero. I get it. He cares about people. That's fine. But it's like it's not really a hard choice between the two.
yeah. Well, usually when they usually do that, who you get to choose who lives and die because usually they both live, you know, one way or another. But this one they actually do kill off Elsa. You're like, oh come on, man. I mean, come on, like why would you do that? You know.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, because kind of like going back what you said about Grace is that she kept leaving her dead because there's another stunt which everybody's seen on videos and stuff where it's a car chase scene and you know Tom Cruise is handcuffed and trying to drive in one with and trying to drift one handed, you know, because he said that was actually a difficult stunt that he had to pull off because trying to drift and he's handcutting, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, like, and of course, when the car chase scene ends, like she handcuffed to him to the steering wheel, and it left him for dead. And of course, he escapes, of course. But so, yeah, it's kind of like what you said. Like, why is he trying to get? Why he cares? You know?
I know they've been painting Ethan as like he'll never abandon his friends and he'll choose people over the mission and all this stuff. They've been doing that for like the last couple of movies, but
Yeah,
I'm still like he would have never picked this random chick over Elsa. But I don't think it's Elsa, it's Ilsa. But he never would have
Elsa.
picked her
Yeah,
over He never would have. I don't know why he would have picked the thief lady over Ilsa.
I don't think it was necessarily a choose. I think he was trying to save both of them. If that makes sense. Like, as
Yeah.
he told Grace to stay, and he tells Elsa, you know, go, you know, run, you know, like go, you know, go fight, you know, because she has more fighting experience than Grace does, you know.
Or even like at the end where it's, I will be there. I will save you. It's like, you just met this. I mean, yeah, you want to save her, I get it, but you just met this chick.
Yeah.
And how many times have like your women died before? So at least twice because they had the flashback and then they had Ilsa.
hmm
I know they
Yeah.
always talk like his wife died, and then they revealed that was like she didn't really die and stuff. But
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. They faked her death, you know, so people can leave her alone, which they all know she's alive in Fallout, you know.
right,
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it was a good movie, but I just feel like certain things, like I mean, the Grace character, I think they could have done a little bit better. If that makes sense. So
I didn't. Or what did you think about the villain being an AI?
the villain being AI, oh yeah, that's another thing too. The villain doesn't seem like intense, if that makes sense, you know. Because you got Phil Seymour Hartman. He was a villain in Mission Impossible 3.
Well, he was by
Uh,
far the best villain in all these movies so far.
yeah, and I can't remember the main villain from Phil's Protocol. I mean, I picture him. I can't remember his name, but uh, and then you got uh, who's the villain in Rogue Nation and Fallout?
Solomon Lane.
Solomon Lane. Yeah, because he's another intense villain. You know, uh, so you can remember
I
him
guess what
pretty
I
well.
didn't like was they never really, and I'm sure they'll probably do this in the next movie, but they never really explain its motivations. Never really explains why those people are working for it, what it's trying to achieve. And like I know Mission Impossible movies have never been like super realistic, and I could kind of believe the idea of like an AI becoming sentient and stuff, but some of the stuff really got in far fetched territory for me. Like even for Mission Impossible movie, like erasing people from, it's hiding people through recordings and messing with their tech, and they can't speak to anyone. They never know what's real. I'm like, I don't. This is getting a little far fetched for me, but
Right. I mean, one thing I do like, but they stay consistently good. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I
Oh shoot, they're like said, is this the seventh or the eighth movie?
seventh.
And there's seven movies into it. For the most part, they've only gotten better with each new one.
Hmm. Yeah, but like I said, part one's more like a filler, so part two might go all the way to the top. You know, maybe this one
So
they get
it's
this.
better. They better not make two parts and then not finish it in the second part.
Yeah, I think, I mean, once we finally get to see part two, I think this more like a filler. Maybe they're really trying to put the work into part two. Maybe just get part one's out of the way. You know, that way it can set up for the final part of their reckoning. You know.
Yeah.
Um, Well, I mean, of course, I mean, you got your, I mean, you always need your characters, Luther, Benji, because them two are the main ones, you know. Uh, the White Widow of Vanessa Kirby, she's back in this movie.
That was the one thing that we kind of noticed about. I guess they carried over the villain from Rogue Nation into Fallout, but like pretty well previously, every movie before this one kind of had its own story. They kept like some of the main characters, like Ethan and Benji and Luther and stuff, but for the most part, every movie was like its own different kind of story. But now they're starting to take unimportant, not super big characters like the main characters. They're starting to have like transfer over from one movie to the next, like share the
Hmm.
storylines.
Yeah, and you got one, two, and three were just separate stories, from each other, and of course you got Ghost Protocol. That was a separate story. But I feel like Rogue Nation and Fallout was connected. And,
They were really only connected in the villain, I mean,
hmm.
and the main characters.
Yeah,
So what I would say, like, you got Benji, Ethan, and Luther, and they're pretty well going to be consistent across every movie. You can
yeah,
always expect that. And then they got like Elsa, who I wouldn't necessarily consider as main character as them, but then they started bringing her, and they started bringing some of the villains and stuff, and they've started putting them in the next movies over, so they're more connected.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that was kind of what I thought too. It's just that because I was expecting her. I mean, my opinion, like if you really think about it, why kill her off? You could have just put her in like in the hospital, and that way she could be in the next part, like for the end. You know what I mean?
I mean, to an extent, I think it was good to actually add some real stakes to it. And if everyone just got hurt and ended up being fine, it wouldn't really be as tense.
Mm,
But at the same time, it's like I feel like they could have done a lot more with. I liked her character more. I feel like they could have done more with her character.
yeah. I mean, Grace, she's just selfish, honestly.
She was a good character too, and give her a couple more movies, and I'm sure she'll probably be as well liked. But like at that point, it's like I'd rather have more Ilsa than this Grace lady.
Yeah. And yeah, that's another thing. I kind of want more with Elsa than I did with Grace. I mean, it's okay to have new teammates, right? I just kind of wish that Elsa and Grace would have, you know. I mean, oh, yes, they teamed up, but they didn't really team up. If that makes sense.
For like 5 seconds, and then Elsa gets stabbed in the freaking chest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking about that scene. They could have saved both of them if mine concerned. you know.
Like I said, I don't think it would have been as impactful if they were both perfectly fine. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I mean, the ending. I mean, the ending train fight scene was pretty cool. I thought, because that part was really intense.
yeah. I mean, it was straight out of if you ever played Uncharted 2. I mean, it
I have,
was like
yeah,
okay, then it's basically scene for scene the same as the train scene from that game. It's
yeah,
perfectly fine. I love that game.
yeah. But you got, speaking of, you mentioned Uncharted, like the desert scene in this movie. I think that was from Uncharted 3.
Well, if you look back, they've got a lot of stunts that are very similar to like you've got the cargo plane and
Mm.
jumping out of the cargo plane with the cargo boxes. You've got the train in the desert, like you said. There's a whole bunch of stuff, honestly, if you're really looking for it.
And you got and of course you got the Mission Impossible theme song, you know, because that's what really need, you know. And of course you got the mission, right? I mean, no, it was not better than Fallout, right?
I still think
But
Fallout's the best one in the
I agree.
series.
I agree 100%. Yeah, because I think Fallout's
Fallout just
underrated.
had more of a intense feel to it. Like the fights and stuff in Fallout, like they felt legitimately dangerous. I
Mm,
didn't. There weren't as many fights I felt in this new movie. It was just like felt this hard hitting. Or yeah, because you got like that bathroom fight in Fallout. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was intense. They
yeah.
had that. They had the like the little the fight in the like the hall or the alleyway or whatever. That was pretty
Mm,
good, but
yeah.
I don't think nothing quite compared to just the stuff that happened in Fallout. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Henry Cavill too, you know, because he's a big boy too, you know.
The
And
reloading arms.
oh yeah, this
Yeah,
yeah, that part there. Oh yeah, that was well, actually he said that that wasn't even part of the script because he literally said he just done it, you know, like just unintentionally, you know. So anyway,
that's actually funny if you watch that scene. Is like there's one part when the guy they're fighting like hits Tom Cruise and he falls over on his knees onto like the bathroom tiles, but like the tiles are actually just foam. You know,
mm,
the stunt crew put there so it wouldn't actually hurt his knees when he fell down. You wouldn't notice it because in the same frame, Cavill's fighting this guy, so you're distracted by that. But if you're really looking for it, they've got like a big, like mistake on camera where he just falls down on his knees and just the bathroom floor is just soft foam everywhere. Oh, it looks weird. That's not right.
oh, does it? Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch the bathroom scene since you mentioned it to me about now because I've seen the bathroom scene a bunch of times. I still did not notice that part.
Well, now every single time that part comes up, I'm not focusing on the fight. I'm watching his knees hit the
Okay.
foam pads.
Yeah, I might have to. I'm gonna have to watch the bathroom scene again, see if I can catch that because I really didn't know not notice that. You know.
Yeah,
So I think this movie. I think the part two will be better than part one, if that makes sense. You know.
probably.
So, but we'll just have to see. You know. Fingers crossed.
Is part
So.
two the one where they showed like a preview where he's riding on the outside of another plane, but it's like a biplane or something. He's like
Uh,
holding, he's like literally standing on it, like holding onto the wings. So
oh,
I'm
is he
sure there'll
really?
be some kind of plane related stunt for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if because I got because I actually seen that Tom Cruise is supposed to be going to space for his next movie. I don't know. Is it for Mission Impossible? It could be a different project. I don't know 100%. So
I hope they don't go to space. It
uh,
seems.
yeah, don't go to
It's like
space,
when they
man.
did that with Fast and Furious. It's like, okay, this is like beyond the point of ridiculousness by here. So
Yeah, I mean that was kind of ridiculous too. Like when F9 or Fast 9 came out when because everybody was making a joke about that, saying like what they're gonna do, go to space, and then they actually done it. You're like, no, like come on, like this is a joke. Come on, you know.
at some point they're gonna do time travel. They're gonna find out all their cars are transformers or something crazy like that. And then because the route they're going, I wouldn't be that surprised if they did something like that.
So
They could
there's
do like a Thomas the Train and Fast and Furious crossover.
yeah, and I don't know. Think this things like these multi-verse stuff is just getting weirder. If that makes sense, you know.
I think it's kind of dead by this point. I don't think like the Marvel movies have been doing nearly as good as they have been, and people are just kind of sick of them doing the whole alternate universe thing. So
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, though, I did watch that. That was really good. So,
I haven't seen it yet. So
how you saying? I think it's supposed to be on Disney Plus next week. So,
I ain't giving Disney my money. If I watch it all, it'll be on the high seas piracy.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you there. I mean, just MCU kind of going downhill, so that's why I think Mission Impossibles are better than this Marvel movies now. So
Honestly, this month has had like a lot of good movies. I mean, you've got Mission Impossible, you've got Oppenheimer. I haven't watched Barbie, and I'm not planning on watching Barbie, but I've heard a lot of people really like that. So,
all right, I haven't heard nothing about Barbie. You saw Oppenheimer?
not yet, but I'm probably going to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I do want to though. So no, yeah, yeah, because I think what's the weekend called? Barbenheimer, I think it was called.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean it. They both made money, so that's good, I guess. I mean, people, who knows? Maybe everybody did a double feature.
I know that's like the big joke. So you go in to watch one movie and turn around, and 5 minutes later, you go into the next one. Yeah, that or you're watching the
Yeah.
Barbie movie, and it's like some cutesy scene, and like theater over, you've got the atomic bomb going off,
Hmm. Yeah.
just
I
like
mean,
blast down the walls in your theater.
yeah. I like Margot Robbie as the actress though, but when I saw the trailer for Barbie, I was like, no, ain't no
That's the
way.
kind of you go to the movies with your girlfriend to make your girlfriend happy type movie. So
I, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I know last month in June that was a bad month because of movies because you got The Flash was that movie did poorly, and you got what was it Indiana Jones. I heard that movie didn't do too well either. So
you got on like a $300 million budget, $100 million for advertising. So you've got to like make around. I don't remember what they said exactly, but like for other reasons, like if they wanted to break even, they had to make like nearly $1 billion, which
yeah,
is like extremely hard to do.
mm,
So yeah, that movie
yeah,
is destined to flop from the beginning.
yeah. I mean, just that's Hollywood for you. I mean, they don't think it would have been enough money as it went because I know Disney bought Indiana Jones, didn't they?
Well, I'm sure they consider the money going into it. I think they overestimated how how willing people were going to go see that. I love the Indiana Jones movies. I'm not going to go watch an 80-year-old Harrison Ford pretend to be Indiana Jones. Not especially not when it's like a Disney movie, because as far as I've seen, every single legacy franchise, like movies that from like the 80s or whatever, they're pretty well ruined every single one they've touched. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to go watch Indiana Jones, especially if Disney's making it. So
Right. Well, actually, I did watch Indiana Jones. I mean, Harrison Ford wasn't trying to. I mean, yes, he was trying to. I mean, he was playing Indiana Jones, but he wasn't trying to play, like a young Indiana Jones. If that makes sense.
don't they make him a depressed alcoholic?
No, not alcoholic. He's depressed though. Yeah.
Well, either way, I'm like, you could at least. This is the last movie. He's married. He's got a kid. Should be happy. You can make him like happy in his old age. But no, they're like, what would be a good idea? Let's kill off Mutt. Let's have him be basically divorced. Let's have him hating his life, living alone. It's like, I don't want to see my hero like that.
Yeah.
Make him happy. Come on. I know they have Marion come back at the very end, but from like what I've read and heard, it sounds really cheap and out of nowhere. So
Yeah. But the movie, I think it was a good ending for Indiana Jones. Like, it's not the best in the series. I mean, I'll say that right now. Yeah. Well, what's your final thoughts for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One?
I thought overall it was pretty good, pretty solid movie. Uh, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Not no nine, not no 10, like Fallout was, huh?
No, not quite.
No. My opinion, it was still a solid movie. What they were set up to do and what they were going for. Um, I I was hoping it'll be the best movie of 2023, but I don't think it is right now. 'Cause honestly, I think I like John Wick Chapter 4 just a little bit more. And but the movie, I give maybe an 8.5, well, maybe 8, 8.5, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, we hope that Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part Two is better than Part One. So, but the movie, I mean, it's definitely worth watching. I mean, it's worth watching again and again, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And that's basically our final thoughts for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Here comes the fun part. Do we want to talk about our rankings and what we like, which one we like best to worst for the rest of the Mission Impossible movies?
might as well.
Seth, let's go with you first. What's your rankings and what you like about it more than you did with, if that makes sense,
I think Fallout pretty easily is the best one. It has the best action sequences and the best stunts throughout all the movies. After that, it's like a really close call between Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation. Although if I had to give it to one of the two, I'd probably give it to Ghost Protocol, just slightly. I think the ending to Ghost Protocol was more solid than Rogue Nation, but more satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, After that, it would be Rogue Nation, obviously, because they're basically the same. Probably then it would be Dead Reckoning, and fourth, I guess. The third Mission Impossible movie is pretty good too. I don't think it's as good as the last four have been, but like I definitely think that one put them on like the path they're on now. Because you have the
Mm-hmm.
first two movies, you've got Mission Impossible one, which if you go back and watch it now, it really doesn't have that much action. It's almost more like psychological, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine, but you couldn't make a whole series out of stuff like that. So the first one was okay. And the second one was just weird. That was John Woo. It's just John Woo being John Woo. Which,
Right.
I mean, if you're into that, fine, but I didn't particularly care. But Mission Impossible 3, you start to kind of get the more realistic, uh, action oriented version of these movies, and I kind of think they've been following that same path since then. So, yeah, after Dead Reckoning, it would definitely have to be Mission Impossible 3. The Mission Impossible 1, because Mission Impossible 1's sort of like a lot of iconic moments in it, too. Like, it's got him hanging from the ceiling and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, that had a lot of good stuff. Mission Impossible 2 wasn't a terrible movie, but like as far as this series go, it's far and away the worst one and the most ridiculous. So it's like by default, that's just the worst one. Those are my thoughts on it. So yeah, for like best to worst, it would have been Fallout, Protocol, Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning, MI3, MI1, MI2.
Cool, cool. So, um, um, my opinion, I guess my turn. Uh, from bottom to the top, I do say Mission Impossible 2 is easily down the very bottom.
Yeah,
Uh, kind of like what you said. The plot line was kind of ridiculous, right? But the best part, really, of Mission Impossible 2 is actually the motorcycle, chasing at the very end.
yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, because that was actually
I
the best
didn't
part of the
like.
entire movie.
I mean, I get that the masks have always been a part of these movies, and that's fine. But like Mission Impossible 2, just like goes above and beyond with the masks to just the point of complete ridiculousness. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
putting masks on bad guys and he's stealing masks from them and he's like changing clothes in like 2 seconds straight. It's like what the heck is going on? There's like I don't know how many I'm sure someone's counted it how many mask swaps there are in that movie, but there's way too many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So Mission Impossible will have to be at the bottom. Mission Impossible, the first one, will be the second to the bottom. I really like the first Mission Impossible movie. But I mean, it's the first one, so you gotta respect it. You know what I mean?
I
Uh,
mean it's definitely it's the oldest one too, so you kinda gotta give it some slack. There's no way they could have done the stuff they can do now, so
I mean, it's not about the stunts in the first two movies. It's just that I do like the first Mission Impossible. I mean, it got a lot of iconic moments. Him hanging on with the wire. So
yeah.
there's a lot of iconic stuff on it too. So I like the train fight sequence in the first movie too. So
See,
um,
that's where I kind of, for me, that's where I kind of start not liking the first one so much because I can buy them like when they're on the train at first, it looks pretty real, like with the wind blowing and the way they're getting flipped around. But then the helicopter goes in the tunnel. It's like at that point, all realism is left to chat. It's like, what?
Right. Nah, I get that. Yeah, but so that's Mission Impossible 1. I will say Mission Impossible 3. That one's I really like Mission Impossible 3. I mean, there's a lot of twists and turns, and Ethan Hunt gets married to Julia, so I really like that one. And Phyllis Phyllis Seymour Hoffman, the late Phyllis Seymour Hoffman, he easily the best part in the movie is him as Phil.
He's by far the best villain because he's like he's legitimately scary.
Hmm.
Like everyone else is kind of the stereotypical bad guy, but like this guy just it's he's
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, I get what you're saying. So that'll go to Mission Impossible 3. Ghost Protocol, I will give it that. That would be to fourth place. Um, Ghost Protocol has a lot of iconic moments too, like him climbing on the side of the building. And that was really insane. You gotta applause for that. I mean that was really insane. So and again, there's a lot of twists and turns. So that's why I really like Ghost Protocol. Third place, I would have to give it to Dead Reckoning Part One. Uh, like I said, there's this really intense moment. I just don't think is the level between the top two I'm about to name off. And of course, second place will have to go to Rogue Nation. Like I said, that movie's epic. And then Fallout was just that just kind of just blew out of the water.
Yeah.
So my ranking would be Mission Impossible 2, maybe like a 7 out of 10. The
That's a
first
pretty
one,
high rate.
yeah. Well, like I
I would
said,
have given it like a 5.
I really, uh, I'll give Mission Impossible 2 7. I think number one, I give it 8. 3 8. Ghost Protocol 9. Did
Well,
I
that's
give?
not right because you just said you gave Dead Reckoning like an 8 or eight
Yeah,
and
I
a
did,
half,
didn't
and you
I?
put Dead
Okay.
Reckoning ahead of Ghost Protocol.
Okay, yeah, I did. Okay, so actually, probably would be Dead Reckoning and then Ghost Protocol then. And then uh and then the first two plays would so I think 8 Dead Reckoning Part 1, and you got Ghost Protocol. I think I give that one 9, and you got Road Nation and Fallout. Them two are 10 out of 10s. So
Pretty fair.
yeah. Well, what's your out of 10s, right?
Well, that's 10 out of 10, probably. Ghost Protocol. Like, so I keep flip flopping back and forth between that and Rogue Nation. Honestly, they're on the same level for me. They're probably 9s. Uh, Dead Reckoning was probably an 8.
Mm-hmm.
MI3 was probably like a 7.5 or an 8. MI1 was probably like 7. And MI2 was like a 6 or a 5 or something. So,
Yeah. I get that 100%. So uh yeah. So that's. I mean, they're really good movies. I mean, they're really fun to watch. I mean,
I think it says a lot when like your third worst one, like MI3, and you're giving that like we're both calling that like an 8 or a 9 or something like that. That says pretty highly when there's like 7 movies, and that's one of your lowest ones, and that's scoring at like an 8 or a 9.
mm-hmm. Well, I gave 2 a 7 just because the plot line was just kind of messed up. If that makes sense.
I think that and the stunts were kind of stupid. Everything was he's just flipping around and spin kicking everyone. I'm like, oh, it's so early 2000s. It makes you sick.
Right. But I mean, I really like 3. So well, Seth, you got any final thoughts for Dead Reckoning or Mission Impossible? So
Not particularly.
I still think Tom Cruise is one of the best actors in Hollywood still for the moment.
I know everyone keeps, it's kind of cliche now, everyone keeps saying like he saved cinema and all this stuff, but honestly, to an extent, it's true. Like he's put out like with Top Gun and these movies and stuff, like he's been putting out like some of the biggest blockbusters,
Hmm.
over the last couple of years. So
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Top Gun Maverick is actually number 12 in the top 15 high grossing movies right now. So
especially, I think the superhero movies are dying right now. But like just a couple of years ago, those seemed like freaking unstoppable. And now you're
hmm
just kind of starting to go back to like action movies and more original stuff, I guess.
I mean, Hollywood kind of went downhill when it comes to like the writer's strike and all that stuff's going on right now.
Yeah, I've been keeping on paying a lot of attention to that. But
Yeah. I mean,
so it's
I
like
just
stop making movies, or are they just not allowed? Because I've
well,
been reading things where they're not allowed to like promote for their movies anymore, like the actors.
well, the way I read, like they paused a lot of movie sets. Like I heard they paused production for Dead Reckoning Part Two, and apparently they paused production for Venom 3, Deadpool 3. To name a few.
Yeah,
So I don't know Hollywood. I don't know what's going on with this. Honestly, I try my best not to pay attention to that stuff because it's not. If that makes sense.
I mean, I'm sure some of the writers probably are underpaid or whatever it is they're arguing about, but
Yeah.
honestly, most of these people I couldn't care less about you. Like most of them are just like mainly looking at like the actors and the high up people. It's like you're so rich, like
Yeah.
privileged and stuff. It's like don't even start. I
I mean,
welcome every bad thing to happen to your movies. In other words, because you're going to be perfectly fine.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the way I see it. I mean, just because you're on a movie set, you're gonna be fine. So,
Mm.
but
You see,
anyway,
like all these people arguing over like multi-million-dollar deals, and it's like you're still a freaking multi-millionaire. What is
yeah.
like an extra 5 million or something gonna do?
It just seems like a lot of Hollywood people are just hypocrites. If that makes sense, because they want more
Oh
money than
yeah,
what you get what I'm saying, though.
yeah.
So
I
I
don't
don't
like
know.
not to make it political either, but and you always get them acting like they're political experts and they know more than the average person. It's like no, you don't.
Yeah.
You're good at making movies. That doesn't mean you're qualified to suddenly start talking about all this other stuff.
Right. I mean, this is me. Like, I don't know what the celebrity making. Like, I don't know how much money Tom Hardy makes. I mean, I read he made $100 million for Top Gun Maverick, but I don't know how much Mark Wahlberg makes. I don't know how much The Rock makes. You
A
get what I'm
lot.
saying. So,
The answer is a lot.
hmm yeah, since he has a clause in his contract, he can't be beating the fight. So,
Yeah, see, that ruins the movies. It's like there's no stakes at that point because you can't lose.
yeah. So he wins. So everybody claps. So,
Basically,
I
there's
don't
like a
know.
bunch of people on a stage in the background. They hold up a sign and they're like, cheer, clap, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's kind of getting ridiculous. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, guys, if there's nothing else to say, well, we thank you for clicking to the only after school podcast. Seth, should we say shame on Trent Kelsey for not joining us again?
immense shame,
Yeah, you've been
immense
saying
shame and
Trent.
disappointment.
Yeah. Well, we thank you guys, Glenn, for clicking to only after school podcast. This is Jesse Johns.
This is Seth Kirkman. He's signing off. Signing off.
Goodbye.